See, when I do the countdown, I get in trouble. I'm sitting here with my countdown like 5, 4, 3, 2, and then the FBI comes knocking at my door.
What is it you pray for?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome into the 188th episode of Abyssal Musings. My name is Samuel, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Lawrence Knight.
Hi.
Indeed. That's actually the most upbeat you've been on an intro in like months, dude.
It's the adrenaline and adrenochrome they've got him on.
Right?
Yeah.
It's finally leveling out.
Yeah, finally.
That's really.
Indeed. We also have joining us tonight, Caucasian Sasquatch.
Greetings and salutations. I will be the voice of God and the only logical man in the room.
Fair enough. I mean, you are the one who sounds most like what I would imagine a deity's voice would be like.
Right, it's good enough to confuse you with a little echo, ain't it?
Yeah, a little bit. And joining us all the way from the hellscape that is Europe, Clifton Street.
Yeah, guten Morgen. I can bring logic. I can bring logic to the conversation as well.
And
Just
record
bring
keeping.
the gas prices down.
Which we're just going to go right into the Holocaust jokes. Okay.
You
Anywho,
guys' leaders are smaller, right?
welcome in everybody. Welcome into the panel. We are live currently on Twix, YouTube, and Rumble, two separate YouTube channels, Caucasian Sasquatch and Samuel the Infamous. If you're in any of those places, drop a comment, let us know you are here. You'll also notice that pinned at the bottom of the chat in YouTube side and on Rumble side at the top of the chat, the link for our good friend Gal's Give, Send, Go campaign, which I'm double checking just now. It was, I know where it was at 6 hours ago, but yep, we are $300 away from the goal of 6K. We're at 5,700 right now, which is pretty close. So if you can help out, great. If not, pass it along. Yeah, Gal appreciates it. We appreciate it. And thank you very much. That said, I'm going to go ahead and say hello to the chat now. We've got first up, old Blindy. And I see Jacob Gallo. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Also, there's a Clifton, but, you know, he's on the panel. It's fine.
Just fair warning, guys. I've got like 12 previous guests all live between now and 2. So I'm not really expecting a whole lot of activity on this end of the fucking swing.
Fair enough. That is totally fine. Anywho, yeah, welcome into the show, everybody. Larry, what do we got going on tonight?
Tonight, as promises kept, tonight is about Operation Mincemeat. So I figured, you know what? Let's I got some little TikTok videos that we can check out, but tonight is all about the famous operation. You know, I even found the article that I found. It's basically a report, but it even shows the body that they used with the guy's information.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about this particular operation, so you guys are going to have to, you know, fill me in. But I imagine between you and Sasquatch, that won't be an issue.
Yeah, it's you ever heard of the Department of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure this was, if not one of their full-on movements, was something that kind of fell through the cracks on their end of it, because it smells like them everywhere. So they take some perfectly ordinary person, they create an artificial officer, they create an artificial division, an artificial intel group, an artificial everything. They put all the information on this dude, take him to a likely spot, shoot his ass off a submarine or destroyer or something, just in time to get picked up by the Germans. What was it, about a week before, 2 weeks before D-Day? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Just long enough for it to get all the way up to the top of command, but not long enough for anybody to figure out what to do about it. It was so freaking effective that Rommel decides to go home for the week for I think his wife's birthday, if I remember right, or maybe his birthday. But he went home for the week on the grounds of this particular bit of intel that had slipped into the higher command, and he's not there when D-Day takes place. He's back at his homestead while the U.S. rolls straight through half of Italy and all of France. I'm just saying, the one guy who could have stopped that shit was sitting over there screaming into the void.
Yeah, he was. Clifton.
What, me? No.
You saying that wasn't you?
No, I'm not Rommel.
That was Rommel.
Clifton is Rommel. No, I'm just kidding.
I get more of a Red Baron vibe from him.
I was just going to say, maybe some Von Lupton. I don't know about Rommel, man. Rommel was a fast charger, bro. Him and Patton would have been an amazing game of cards.
Yeah, true. Hey, you said Red Baron. Isn't that like a brand of whiskey?
There is a brand of whiskey that is named after the Red Baron, yes.
You know why they named it after the Red Baron?
One shot, you're down.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, I'm genuinely serious.
Bro.
Damn.
Wait, what was it?
Because after a couple of shots, your ass is going down, bro. Red Baron was a fucking beast. Yeah, there's a much to it, man. That's an entirely different show.
Well, wait a minute. We got time before we really deep dive into Operation Mincemeat. So okay. I mean, is this stuff stronger than soju?
Well, no, it's the Red Baron because, like I said, a couple of shots and you're going down, bro. Just like the airplanes, the Red Baron was following. You ever check out? I think it was this Fokker. I think that's what he flew, was a Fokker.
Yeah,
I remember right. You ever looked into that Fokker?
Sam, you got a photo of what this Fokker is?
No, it's a kind of biplane, I think.
It's a triplane, actually. This one was Rick Tobin had it specially freaking modified.
Yeah, no, I don't remember what the Baron himself flew. I remember from the Peanuts cartoons when Snoopy was doing his thing, he was always shooting at the Red Baron, and he was in his quote unquote trusty Sopwith Camel or some shit like that.
Yeah,
for anyone,
the Sopwith Camel. Probably the second worst combat plane ever freaking designed. But
Snoopy's a dog, like he's gonna know that.
Yeah, sure. But that's not like a plane. I mean, the flying circus when they're flying down all that shit. Red Baron's over here flying in his freaking Fokker that can fly upside down and backwards and not run out of gas. And if that Sopwith takes a hard left turn too hard, the gas gets sucked out of the carburetors.
I just realized that I would pay good money to see Ben Stiller play the Red Baron in a movie called Meet This Fokker.
Oh my God, dude. AI. Who is it that has the AI keys around this bitch? That is an AI thing immediately.
So, plus I just think it's funny, Ben Stiller playing a German.
Well, the Red Baron is definitely popular. I mean, hell, he's even got his own pizza brand. Imagine that, pizza and whiskey.
Well, hell, that's just Tuesday. Fokker DR1 triplane. This thing had control surfaces on the top, the bottom wing, pure lift surface on the middle wing, and had the ability to fly upside down in an increasing event dive without losing fuel to the engine. It was a fucking work of art.
That's crazy. And you know what? And whatever fuel it was using, that's probably what's in the whiskey.
Well, it could have been kerosene, gasoline, number of things, but
I think it was whiskey.
There could have been some whiskey involved. That is not outside the realm of possibility.
I mean, those early combustion engines actually could run on alcohol. They just wouldn't run well.
They had post detonation problems, ring leakages, bypass overflow. They had oil consumption like you would not believe when running alcohol, bro. That shit would just run out.
Yeah.
A bottle of oil on the back end of the exhaust.
Welcome in BTK. That is not the Canadian Air Force. You see, this plane actually works.
Dude, this thing's got a body count. and does anybody have any idea how the Red Baron died?
No.
I heard the story once. I just can't recall.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Before up until now, I actually didn't know that the Red Baron existed. I thought it was just whiskey or something like that.
Yeah, he was the World War I flying ace, I think is what they call him.
He was the first ace, if I remember. He was like not only the first ace, but the first double ace and the first triple ace, I think.
Wow.
Like he splashed more motherfuckers than Cecil B. DeMille. But that's not what actually made him famous. That is what made him like current events type famous. He was think about this. World War I, the very tail end of like the chivalry era. All of the German high command are running around with scars on their faces from sword fights in school, right? This dude is the real freaking deal. He rolls out trying to explain to people that yes, aerial combat's perfectly possible and it can give us an advantage over any other invasion force in the world if done right. Everybody's like, well, I mean, really, it's just for reconnaissance. And so he goes out and starts killing ground troops by dropping grenades out of the freaking airplane. He mounts a couple of they're not MG-32s, they're like PP-27s or something. There's some type of machine gun. And him and another guy, Rick Toven and another dude, are arguing over how to mount the guns because everybody mounts the guns on the wings. And he's like, no, it has to be straight down the fuselage. And the other guy's like, well, shit, we'll just put an interrupter in front of the propeller. That way it doesn't shoot its own propeller off. Suddenly, like a week later, motherfucker makes ace.
Yep.
Wow.
So he was directly responsible for 90% of the things that you think of when you're thinking of modern aerial combat. And that shit was applicable all the way up to the point where aerial combat became beyond line of sight.
Yeah, wasn't he also famous for having survived something like 7 to 10 crashes?
Well, okay, but keep in mind, like he's flying a triplane, right? Mm-hmm. So if that thing loses like a wing and a half, which I mean, that's a lot for an airplane, it's not going to fly, but he can land it, you know?
Sure. But I mean, just like in a combat situation, that's still pretty impressive.
Well, that's what I was getting to with the scars on the face. This is like on the very tail end of like the old school officers never duck, British stand and fight kind of philosophy. The Germans held the same thing. These people were viewed as knights, literal chivalrous knights, putting on their armor of freaking airplanes to go fight the enemy in open combat. They were the last bastion of chivalry. And when most POWs hit the ground, they get wrapped up, questioned, all their shit took, put in the lockup. When a pilot would hit the ground, most of the people in the trenches would just wave at them on their way back to go find another airplane. Hell, half the time the enemy would give them a ride to the front.
Yep.
Because they
also a lot of time when a pilot, a well-known pilot would die, they would actually do a flyover and like drop reefs and stuff.
Do the fucking wing wave. Yeah.
Yep.
Cavatenio's saying, saw the gear system used for the machine gun and engine that momentarily changes the speed of the propeller to not have what happened to Dr. Jones Sr. or when Dr. Jones Sr. shot the plane's tail, which is, for those who don't know, from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yep. And guess who he trained? Who then became the leader of the flying circus?
Oh,
Goering.
Old Herman.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then he went on, became the Air Force commander in Germany.
Yeah. As one of the things that I think gets overlooked a lot when people talk about the inner circle of the Third Reich and all that. A lot of those guys were World War I veterans, including the Fuhrer.
Yep.
I didn't mean that to cause a blank spot.
Transition into World War II.
No, I'm just taking it all in because that's a.
All right, but before we do, we got to cover how the Red Baron went down.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the day that the Red Baron, Baron von Richthofen, was shot down. I think it was 7 people claimed responsibility. I think 4 of them were actually carrying or had access to the round that was found lodged in Richthofen's chest. So at least 4 of these people were completely full of shit. Not saying they didn't believe themselves, because they were popping shots at the Red Baron here, right? Shooting at an airplane, you never know who's going to hit. At least one of these guys was posted up. I think it was in the bell tower of a church, but it might have been in the roof section of a barn. I can't remember. But they were set up with a, get this, I think it was I can't remember if it was 30-06 or 7.62. I can't remember. But anyway, he was set up in this high point. He was supposed to be covered like a curve in a road when the Baron comes flying over. And here's where things get a little bit twisted. He has a dogfight with one plane, splashes that one, gets into a dogfight with a second plane, wounds that one enough that it retreats, while a third plane enters, sprays Richthofen 2 or 3 times, and just runs. Richthofen, visually from the ground, doesn't seem to have reacted to this third plane at all. It was like he had bigger shit on his mind while he was getting shot at. No flinch, no dip, no rise, no roll, nothing. He then circles a 7 or 8 mile area where he circles, losing no altitude, gaining no altitude, like he's looking for something on the ground specifically. Everyone realizes who he is. The entire universe on the ground starts shooting at him. The Germans, maybe there was the Hungarians at the time, I'm not sure. They start shooting at people, shooting at him. A breakout takes place across the freaking lines because the Red Baron is officially smoking and damaged. He's missing part of a wing, like some shit's fixing to hit the fan. The Germans are running out trying to go take ground so that if he comes down in friendly territory. The British are actually ceding ground, trying to get to where the Red Baron's going to go down so they can take him captive. They get there, and he landed the fucking airplane. It was dead.
Yep.
He put that bitch down in probably one of the most difficult landings that you could approach. It was a soft field on a slant away from the from the landing direction. He basically put it on a line and died and drifted to the ground and got lucky and didn't hit a cow.
Wow. So he landed it dying and died once he got to the ground.
Or he set the stick in the because this is a possibility with these old planes. You can there's a thing on it where you can what's called set the stick. You basically put a pin in it and lock it into place where it's at, so it's like autopilot sort of, it doesn't go up, down, right, or left. But if you back off, if you set the stick and then back off on the throttle, you have a steady descent that takes place. So if he caught a bullet and was conscious and was going to try to fix something right quick, or patch his wound or something, right? That's what he would do, is lock the stick. He would then set the balls, which is the throttle, to a 3/4 or some point like that, not full speed, but also not slow enough to get shot. And when he realized he was bleeding out, back it back just a little bit more and hope for the fucking best. But if that's the case, it is one of the most amazing depiction of a self-landing plane I've ever read of.
That's crazy. I'm reading a little bit right here too, and it says that historically they gave the credit to a Canadian pilot, but then it says an Australian took him down.
Well, okay, so if I remember right, the Canadian pilot, you remember I told you he got into 3 dogfights, 2 dogfights specifically, but he was attacked by a third plane that he did not respond to. That third plane, I'm pretty sure, was the Canadian pilot. And he was on the last bit of ammo he had, and he just basically prayed and sprayed his ass on the way out of the theater. And Richthofen didn't respond. So some people believe he had already been shot, and that's why he just flies in that big circle and then lands in the only straight line that's around there. That was literally the Canadian's last rounds. He had nothing else to throw at him.
Indeed. Real quick, BTK's yeah, Erin's fine. She just had a lot going on today, so she's busy
she's got
tonight,
some
so she
stuff
couldn't
going
make
on.
it. So yeah, no, but she's okay, folks. She just couldn't make it tonight.
That's
It's
crazy
fine.
though, man. 3 planes on one guy. Come on.
It's from one perspective. All right, that's another thing. You remember I told you they were like knights in the air?
Yeah.
These guys, even in furball dogfights, would not go on each other 2-on-1, 3-on-1. That was considered dishonorable.
Right.
And it was important to them to have witnesses on both sides. And so they would often encounter each other, do a couple of cross patterns, shoot at each other a couple of times. And then they'd notice, oh, wait, we're not over the front. And they would break off, move 8 miles north, that there would be witnesses, and then re-engage with a spotter plane in the air above and a spotter plane on level, one from the enemy and one from the allies. And there you go. You had your modern version of knights. Tilton, what's up, John? Welcome in, bud.
Oh, that went out the window in modern times.
Yes, it did. You got to keep in mind though too. This is around the time that we're finally we're getting into the trench warfare era and finally moving away from like 2 lines of dudes shooting at each other on an open field.
Right.
So like there were still some holdovers from those older times like this, whereas like troops on the ground were getting a little dirtier with their tactics. But guys in the sky, a lot of pilots were nobility, like the Baron. They were literally not peasantry. So they did have what they considered standards they had to maintain that your average conscript didn't. If that makes sense.
Well, there weren't no poor guys out there flying airplanes around at the time.
Yeah.
Nope. They were nobility, yeah.
But what blows my mind is so we went from a couple of guys barely staying in the air and Kitty Hawk to actual aerial combat in what, 12 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
It wasn't long.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't. And it was kind of crazy that even worked in the first place. I mean, like they didn't really know too much about aerodynamics at that time, except for what they observed with birds. Yeah, and they just kind of built this thing that sort of looked like it might resemble a bird.
Well, kind of. So there's a couple of really weird features that are built into these old paper planes. One of them is, and I don't know that it was in a Fokker, but I'm almost certain that the Sopwith had this. All right, so inside the fuselage where your feet are, you've got your little pedals that turn the rudder right and left. Right. This allows you to kind of plane off right, plane off left. You lose altitude in both directions, but fine. You can do a tighter turn. On the outside of it, pegs from both wings would stick out into the footwell, and you could reach over and put your foot on it and actually twist the body of the wing rather than using ailerons or lifters. You could pull on one side, push on the other, and the entire structure of that wing would alter a little bit, and it would pull you a little left, a little right. And it doesn't seem like much, but when you're flying, the shape of the wing is immensely important.
It seems like a crazy risk to take.
Well, no, think about it. They were all made of fabric, wood, and paper with tension lines and stuff,
Sure.
So you could like walk up and just jam your fist through the freaking wings.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, like, the very first flight that took place, right? Obviously, they didn't get too high up off the ground, and they only went, 50 feet the first time, something like that.
Sure, yeah.
But even going much further back, right? Some of Da Vinci's designs, and like imagine the first guy to build a working hang glider. No one else had successfully built one before in the entire history of humanity. And this guy, there's only one way to test it, man. You got to jump off something high.
Yep.
How many people died testing this in theory?
typically it was the people who had the theory or people who believed in it at least.
Mhm. Right. But no, it amazes me that because we do have some pretty incredible things in this world of ours, all of which were innovated by people who had an idea that by the standards and knowledge of the time should not have worked. And
Like,
if other people had tried it, it typically hadn't worked.
take the guy who invented the parachute.
Right.
Homeboy nailed everything from top, bottom, front to back, misunderstood how long it'd take to deploy. So here's where it gets funny. He goes and tests this parachute. He gets up to like, what was it, 180 feet, 190 feet, jumps off, throws the parachute out. It starts to inflate and he hits the ground. Turns out it takes 200 feet for it to fucking deploy.
Right.
Flawless test. Everything worked. Nothing wrong with it. He just slipped a decimal on his math on how high he had to be.
Yep. That'll do. But I mean, like you're right. Like it worked. He just misjudged the distance. So the next guy has to come along and take a look at everything and see what worked and what didn't, and redo the math and hope he got it right this time.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was the military that came along like immediately after that, looked at it and went, if he'd had another 20 foot, he'd have lived.
Right.
Yeah. And they probably said, and
Yeah.
and you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna add another couple of 100 feet, and then we're gonna throw our guys out the plane.
I mean, it's just funny because all right. So he didn't go higher because the people that were taking pictures, the paparazzi of the day, couldn't see him higher, and they were like, hey, our length is like 150 feet or whatever. And so he went up to whatever level of the Eiffel Tower that was and jumped the fuck off. Faith. But his plan was to go up like 300, like 200 feet, whatever the top of the tower was. His plan was to jump off the top of the tower, which would have worked, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it's like Jacob Gallo was saying here is like people were risking their lives to test those aircraft. Yeah, anytime somebody comes up with an innovation in air travel, like there's always somebody who has to test it, right? And in a lot of cases, at least in the States, it's the military that does this sort of thing. Like, do any of you guys know what the name of that group of women test pilots was in the 40s? The ones that weren't even acknowledged until like the late 90s because what they were doing was top secret.
Inadequate.
Full on test, but they weren't even legitimate pilots.
Yeah, and they were testing shit they didn't actually. They had to learn how to fly on the fly, kind of thing. I can't remember what they called them. What they were called. There's a name for it. Maybe not.
It's got a catchy little cliche name to it that somebody clearly picked after the fact. And there's this one chick that's always used as the face of it. I don't think she was ever actually in this group. She was like a nurse or something that come by to talk to them, and they got a picture of this chick. Remember, these chicks are all top secret. The nurse isn't. Right? Like their eyes only. This random chick who come and checked the pulse and was a hot redhead wasn't. And so she put on one of the jackets. They caught a picture of her. Now she's out there as the front of this wing of pilots that never existed.
Right. And I was just reading the other day about there's a channel on YouTube that posts like memorials to people who served in the military over the last 100 years or so. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it's been, World War II era, Vietnam era, Korean War era, that kind of thing. Some of it later has been in, Iraq and Afghanistan and all that. But they were doing one on these chicks, in particular, one who I think actually passed away in like 2012 or 2013 as a very, very old woman.
Okay.
But she was in with that group. And
think about it.
Yeah. What's crazy is like the fact that she survived that job at all. First of all,
that's what I'm getting at. It's like when you go and meet some of the guys that stormed the beach at fucking Gold or Omaha or Sword, not the place where they broke out. Like you expect survivors from the places that broke out, not so much from like Sword Coast.
Yeah. No, it was just it was crazy, and like they're just one example. Like there was I've talked about this guy before, a guy named Roger Shattuck. He wrote a book a while back called Forbidden Knowledge, from Prometheus to I forget the full title. Anyway, the reason that I bring that guy up is because he was one of the test pilots who was sent through mushroom clouds in New Mexico.
And died of like 79 from eating too much wheat.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Wait, what? He died from eating too much wheat?
Well, no. He had like just normal old person death. Years and years after flying right through the freaking mushroom clouds as a test pilot for the Air Force, I think.
Here's the real fucked up part. He flies through these clouds. He's got to give vocal readouts on some stuff that's up in the cockpit over the linkage. It's recording back. And since the EMP has wiped out electronics and anything electromagnetics, it's recording directly to like a solid disc in the back that it's grooving. And so he's having to yell into the thing for it to actually record. And he can't do it with the mask on. So he has to take the freaking mask off, take a huge deep breath of radioactive dust and scream in 400 feet. 200 miles an hour. It's getting kind of hard over here and I can't see anything and the whole place is shaking around. Glowing in the dark the whole time, bro. Right. He didn't die of cancer. There's something they're not telling us, man. There's something up.
Yeah, no, it was kind of crazy. But so he writes this book, right, which I do recommend everybody reads. That basically it goes over man's search for knowledge that maybe he shouldn't have, starting all the way at the beginning with the Garden of Eden, going through like Prometheus and a lot of fictional and mythological scenarios, getting all the way up to like the modern Prometheus, which is Frankenstein. And then in the second half of the book, he transitions into things that we're actually doing, like the Human Genome Project, the Manhattan Project, this sort of thing. It's a very excellent read. I highly recommend it. Anyway, dude was one of those test pilots who was not acknowledged because what he was doing was highly, highly, highly top secret.
Right. When they buried the guy, it was really weird because if I remember right, he had documented some part of the story at some point in private and it got stuck in his effects and never touched again. He dies at 10,000 freaking years old or whatever. And when they're burying him, there's an entire military what do they call it, adjutant or whatever it is, where they don't do the 21 gun salute, but they all showed up. They dropped wings on his casket. He got the blood stripe, the ribbons, all of the stuff that goes with what he would have gotten had they acknowledged him, and that gets buried with him. And the entire family sitting around going, the hell are those guys doing here? And it's like, well, Gramps was a war hero, like full and legitimate. You mean all those stories you used to tell? What, just crazy flights of fancy?
Well, I don't know. Crazy flights, that's for sure.
They were crazy flights. That's for damn sure, bro. Into the dragon's breath, bro.
Right. Also, welcome in, Devil. You came right into the middle of a hot topic.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I thought we were talking about the Red Baron or some shit.
Yeah, it started with Rick Tobin and moved on from there somehow. You can blame the weird guy over there with the crow outfit. He's a weirdo.
Are you listening? My bad. Hey, look, we're just letting the conversation flow, man. We were talking about Operation Mincemeat, but I was like, you know what? You know how we do it over here. But if it comes up in conversation, whatever the conversation is, we just go with it.
Yeah. Also, BTK, thank you. WASPs, Women Air Force Service Pilots. So it was an acronym. I think they had another name. It had something to do with like the Angels or something like that too, but it wasn't their official name. It was just what they were called. Name. Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, so it wasn't catchy enough, apparently.
Yeah, but the organization, I think BTK's right. I think it was WASP.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was WASP. But it had like a really sexy wasp for the avatar.
Yeah. I'm actually reasonably certain that the comic book character, the Wasp, is named after them.
It's possible. It's very possible. Because, I mean, she has a very sexy waspy avatar, too.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
The seed was fully formed out of the U.S. government's forehead.
And if we're being honest, probably everybody involved in that was a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. So,
yeah, more than one joke happening here. Just because you're laughing, folks, don't mean we're joking.
Right. Yeah. No, this is good stuff though. This was a good opening conversation, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so mincemeat. Let's get into the gravy, man.
All right, cool.
There might be a better metaphor than that.
Devil, have you ever heard of Operation Mincemeat? Before last
Yeah,
week?
last week.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I knew you were gonna say that.
No, yeah, I heard about it, but I'm not some expert or anything.
Well, I'm not either. That's why I asked the real expert, who was right below me, to come on to the show.
But I like it when you're on top.
Jeff and his dogs welcome in. Less drama and more just kind of going over stuff that, mattered.
Mattered like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
There's a
Once upon a
musical
time.
based off of this mission. That is hilarious.
Yeah, about 100 years ago, but it is fascinating today. So they did. Operation Mincemeat has been the source of many books and 2 movies, and was an incredibly daring scheme. Even the authors of the plan had recurring doubts about the possibility of success and the wisdom of even attempting it. In order to deceive the Germans about the Allied plans to land in Sicily in July 1943. Wow, so this month is the freaking anniversary of that. A team of British intelligence officers created a plan to take a corpse and dress it as an officer, carrying papers indicating that the Allies were going to land in Greece and Sardinia. The corpse would then appear to have been killed in a plane crash into the sea and float ashore on the southern coast of Spain, which was technically neutral, but many in Francisco Franco's Spanish government were favoring Germany. The plan counted on Spain breaking its neutrality and giving Germany copies of the documents, thereby causing the Germans to shift troops from Sicily to Greece.
By the way, historically speaking, if you looked at previous armies and how to invade Italy, France, you freaking name it, we've done this before. This is not a new idea of taking Italy from the south. North Africa's been doing it for what, 2,000 years. So like, we know how this goes. What this did was, when you do that, you have 2 choices. You can hop Sicily and hit that little strip and then hop over to Spain, and I mean, not Spain, but Italy, and you've got a foothold. Or you can go the other route, and I can't remember the name of that freaking island, but it's basically it's like 20 miles further, right? So we dropped a boatload of freaking data. And I mean, it's not just the invasion of Italy. It included data of imaginary movements and troop formations and stuff like that were happening, 2 years out. The obvious place to invade France is right outside of Calais. You land on the soft beaches there. You climb the little soft cliffs that are outside of Calais. You take Calais, and you got a foothold. Poof, right? Mm-hmm. Everything from the beginning of Operation Mincemeat, all the way through the Italian invasion, that entire front taking place to the south to the opening of a second front in Normandy was all a byproduct of this individual story being bought by the German high command so completely that they used its playbook over their lying eyes when they could see troop movements not happening the way it was supposed to. And the best part, no one knew that this mission succeeded until like a year after the war. Thousands of troops out of place, hundreds of vehicles out of place, airplanes, men, material, you name it, are 20 miles away from where they can be useful because they believed this bullshit.
That's crazy. Nobody caught it for a year.
Rommel did. Rommel said bullshit. Rommel was like, "There's no way that shit just happened. That is not." And they still gave him the week off and pulled him out of Italy because they were convinced that the invasion in France was going to take place like a year earlier. So he gets pulled out of North Africa and Italy, and that whole thing gets put in charge of the fortress Europa. And then as soon as he's pulled out, the entire Italian front just folds the fuck up.
That's crazy. That's funny.
Well, it's not. If you go look at what the Italians called tanks, you'd understand why. Patton was not driving a tractor with a freaking boiler wrapped around it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, makes sense.
What was there was a lot of stuff that was going on that wasn't made public for a very long time after the war, during the war. A lot of stuff that obviously had to be kept secret. What was the name of that that officer who got airdropped behind enemy lines and was basically responsible for sabotaging Big Bertha? Was it James Patterson, something like that? It was like a second lieutenant.
The big train gun, right?
Yeah. The one that could hit a target from like 2 miles away.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't remember. You know what's funny though? They didn't have to drop that poor bastard behind enemy lines for nothing. That goddamn gun couldn't hit the broadside of the sky.
Well, sure, that wasn't his only mission. Like he spent what, something like 6 months back there just sabotaging shit left and right. But he was responsible for that particular one too.
So he was playing Among Us, and they didn't catch him.
Well, do you ever play the Call of Duty games, or not Call of Duty, Medal of Honor games?
Mm-hmm.
They're based on his missions.
Oh snap! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're playing as him in those games. Yeah.
If you go ask the game developers why this is in there, so they'll tell you, well, we've read his published notes and his diary and his further works, but we've also talked to the man himself, and we designed this one particular mission around a mission that was not mentioned in his diary, and it's not like a direct mission like somebody called it your mission should you choose to. No, this was a situation where he was over here, his target moved, and he had to go from where he was to another place. But don't you fucking know it, there just happened to be a whole bunch of fighting going on at the time, right? So he has to like move 20 miles literally across open enemy terrain, obviously out of place, out of sync, and out of luck. And not only does he do it, the way he does it is absolutely insane. At first he tries sneaking across open fields. He gets taken captive like 3 times and turned loose because he's wearing a German uniform, right? Mm-hmm. But after he gets far enough away from where his supposed deployment is supposed to be, he starts looking like a deserter and less like an enemy soldier, right?
Right.
So when he gets over into the deserter category and they decide they're going to take him, he beats up the guard that's got him. This individual had stolen I believe it was a Mossberg shotgun, a literal trench gun from a downed American somewhere. He gets a hold of this shotgun and like 30 rounds and proceeds to wander through this trench, just waylaying everything with officers' bars and beating everything else into submission. And then he comes out the other end of the trench, realizing that, okay, well, he can't walk across open ground carrying an American shotgun. Clearly looks American at this point, covered in blood and shit. So he throws down the shotgun, picks up an MP40 off of some random table, runs from the opening of this trench over to the opening of the next trench. It says, there's a crazy American over there killing everybody in that trench. And everybody runs over to the trench, leaves him alone to go through this trench. He literally just walks by these guys, high-fiving them on their way to go kill him in a different trench. Dude, we took half of that shit out, just left in the shotgun run.
Yeah, that was crazy. Those games in particular, part of the reason that they're so closely based on his exploits was because they were produced by Steven Spielberg, who, as we all know, has a deep and abiding interest in the history and actions of World War II.
He's good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very. Well, plus those games are great. They've got so much. If you chuck a grenade at one of the German attack dogs, it will pick the grenade up and carry it back to its master like a good boy.
Uh-huh.
It's so fucking funny.
The AI in these some of these games, and I don't remember which one specifically I'm thinking of. If something moves in the AI's field of vision, it will turn and look. And if it's still moving when it looks, it'll interact with it. But if it stops before it looks direct at it, it won't. And so if you throw a grenade that lands on sand and it just stops and they turn and look at it, they'll just turn and look at it and then blow up. But if you hit something that makes noise or it lands in sand and rolls a little bit while he's still looking at it, they'll react and throw the grenade back.
Yeah. It was these games were kind of ridiculously advanced for their time. It's
Could you imagine writing those if-then trees?
Right. I imagine that you've seen those memos with like the old guy with the beard staring off into space and all those freaking math equations are falling all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I imagine writing that is like. It's just kind of like, you're doing something that's like above and beyond, man. But there were so many fun little details. Like if you were in a heavily German controlled area, and all of the levels were in heavily German controlled areas, and they knew you were there, you'd start hearing one of the commandants over the loudspeakers.
Yeah.
Attention, Lieutenant James Patterson. Surrender now, and you will be treated with charity and kindness. I shit you not, it's in the game.
And when it comes to those games, and I'm kind of taking one step away on this one, they're designed to be fun to play. Never forget that. But if I've ever risked having fucking PTSD because of a game, it is trying to take Aachen and a fucking Sherman. Aachen is a nightmare. It is a city divided by a bridge that must not fall. If that bridge falls, the nearest bridge is in freaking Russia. We got to backdoor these boys if this bridge goes down, okay? We are not taking Germany if this bridge falls. And so a big plan was put together on how to take this bridge, what they're going to do. Right. We've already got a handful of airborne on the other side. We've already got a handful of first rangers over yonder and a few big red one guys over there. So they have their hands full, right? They're already busy. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, like, I don't remember which one, like the 3rd freaking Sherman division or whatever. And we're going to roll that motherfucker as fast as we can. We're just going to sprint across the goddamn thing. That's the plan, because they either blow the bridge or we make it, right? There's no middle ground. We have to take it. So we're going to hit this thing at the 45-mile-an-hour limit with 20 freaking Shermans and a handful of funnies and a couple of support craft. At the same time, the embedded troops are going to attack everything they can find with moving parts. The troops on this side of the bridge are going to pop out and try to cross the river and do like a full frontal assault as if this is an actual breakout, when really it's just a bridge taking. And the last 2 armored vehicles were really bad mock-ups of tanks. They were full of people, and the whole point was to get enough people across the bridge to take the other side so that they couldn't retake it. Right. And to get enough armor over there to hold it. So 20 miles away from the bridge, the first lead tank hits a mine. And Aachen has like 14-foot wide roads. That is a 68-ton fucking roadblock. The rest of this plan doesn't happen. Because they hit one mine.
Wow.
Can you imagine being on this side of the river that afternoon? You're supposed to ball out at like 10 o'clock that morning. You're sitting there at 6:30 at night and the sun's going down and you still ain't seen a Sherman, and all hell is already broken loose. Aachen was a nightmare, bro. The only way they ended up taking that bridge, well, 2 things. One, the Germans had decided it was too valuable to destroy until it was too late, right? So they make an attempt to destroy it. It fails. We fix it. But what broke that entire readout was a single sniper with balls of solid fucking brass. And he got away with it, at least according to him, is because the German snipers were looking for snipers that were way far away. They were looking for them on the edge of the river and the buildings back behind and the buildings on the other side, because we did have people on both sides. And this guy had gotten into the over rigging of this bridge and was crawling around up there sniping Germans on the deck of the bridge, and they never thought they'd look near. They're out there scoping with freaking telescopes and goddamn looking glasses and binoculars and range finders and professional spotters, and homeboy was dropping hand grenades on them and stuff. It's an amazing story. It is an amazing story. There's this running of catwalks under that bridge that were largely put in for painting purposes, and so they're not really designed to be walked down. They're more designed to be kind of shimmied down, you know. They're kind of too close to things. This fucking sniper went from above the rigging, shooting down, to underneath, shooting across, and took turns going back and forth up. And they thought he was an entire brigade or something. They thought he was an entire rifleman group, because somebody on top would die and then somebody underneath would die, and they would both be at the other side of the river. And they're like, who is shooting at us? They weren't really concerned about the shooting. It was the guy that was hitting them that was the problem.
Right. That's some Sima Hea shit.
PTSD, bro. I'm telling you. I still wake up with cold sweats trying to take a take through Aachen.
That's amazing, man. Just it just makes me wonder, when you go back to, when you look at people like the Red Baron and the others, how would they fare with today's technology? If World War I and II happened with today's technology, who would win?
I mean, you know, like, you got to keep in mind, these guys were doing incredible shit with limited technology, right? And they were adapting to things on the fly. So I imagine they'd probably fare pretty well. That's like asking if Vlad the Impaler would have been more efficient with like a modern post holder.
Sure.
I don't know.
I think he absolutely would have been.
Yeah.
They were adjusting the
200,000 instead of 20.
They were adjusting the stuff on the fly, but there's stuff we have now that they couldn't even comprehend. None of those guys could comprehend a drone flying through the air that blows up right in front of their face.
Sure, but keep in mind too that these guys were born and raised in a time when airplanes didn't exist.
If you walk Genghis Khan into a modern drone deployment thing, showed him the drone, show him what it did, showed him what it could do, it would take him 47 seconds to go, well, shit, let's use it against our enemies.
To be fair, Genghis Khan was a singular mind too, though.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's why I used him as an example. I mean, if you showed Sun Tzu, he'd be like, and so we can watch our enemies.
And I could imagine that with drones, the rules of engagement probably don't change all that much from what they learned. Like, they would know how to maneuver the drone to peak efficiency.
No, because I think there's more to just drone than the joystick part of it. I'm sure there's, you know, it's not like you can just hand them a computer and say, okay, here, start coding or start doing, you know, the computer part of it. They'd be like, huh?
I think you got a point as far as the average person goes, but we're talking about exceptional people here.
I don't know. I think you're giving them a little too much credit. I think if you drop a lot of the stuff we have now in front of them, they wouldn't be able to handle it. I'm not saying they're not smart or trying to dismiss their intelligence in any way. I'm just saying modern stuff, if you are completely disconnected from that, would scare you so bad you would run the other way. Like I said, you have the whole brigade of soldiers coming over that hill. They see one drone flying towards them. They would have no idea what it was, and they would panic and probably run the other way till they figured it out. They wouldn't just sit there.
Mongols would shoot it with an arrow first, bro. They'd be like, thunk. Look at that. It just fell out of the sky. And then they take your ass out back, cut your throat, rape your wife, and make your entire nation a Mongol village.
There's no way they could hit a drone. You have modern soldiers who can't shoot the drones out the damn sky.
Yeah,
You're
those
saying they're gonna
artists.
hit it with
These
a
are
fucking arrow.
professional Mongols, sir. Like you're fucking with the wrong one. Use a different example, and I'll shut up.
Something out of Africa, perhaps. Like, for instance, the most innovative military thing that came out of Africa after the fall of the Ethiopian Empire, anyway, was the short spear that the Zulu brought to the front. Because
Right.
prior to that, it was very much like British warfare: two sides standing on each side, lined up, and they just throw spears at each other. It's where the term spear chucker comes from. And the thing about a spear is it's a fairly slow-moving projectile. You can just step to the side, pick it up, and throw it back, and nothing was accomplished for like thousands of years. And then, the Zulu came along, and they're like, this is kind of stupid.
Yep.
What if I cut this short, and then I can just get stabby with it, and I'll just walk up to that idiot over there and stab him? And they changed the face of warfare in the southern part of Africa.
Yep. You can thank Shaka Zulu for that.
Yeah. And to be fair, Shaka Zulu was an exceptional warrior.
He was also in a very unique position of being capable of doing the things he did, right? Sure. Had the British been better reinforced, had the British had better communication, dude, one of those fucking forts fell due to lack of ammo, with an entire ammo delivery sitting in the fucking field. The reason they didn't have ammo is because one of the first people to die in the very first exchange was the fucking what do they call them? The acquisitions officer, quartermaster. He died before he signed the release. The guy delivering the ship wouldn't give it over to the soldiers without a signed release, and had more ammo than they did. So they couldn't. And we're in the middle of the literal battle that they fucking lost because of paperwork.
This is why bureaucracy is a bad thing.
I'm just saying, bro.
Like, yeah, I mean, you take a look around the world, and obviously your average person from any given place isn't going to be super, adept at a whole lot of anything. I mean, they might have a talent for something here and there, but they're not going to, adapt to circumstances. I think that, though, once the culture shock wore off for some of these people from the past, I think they absolutely would take to it like fish to water. I really do.
Tell me Da Vinci wouldn't take one look at Microsoft.
Dude, he'd look at it and he'd invent something better, man.
So, no, he'd use it first. He would use it to make something better immediately. He'd be like, oh, wow, all the things I ever wanted to do. Can you imagine the look on his face when he hits a button, all his old sketches just pop up on the damn thing? He just
he'd have a ball.
Right? He'd literally be in a bathtub full of his own jizz. Microsoft Paint was having to be hard
out. Oh man, he'd be sitting there. He'd be like, Archimedes, eat your heart out. Eureka! This.
You ain't got shit.
It's like, I'm naked and I'm covered in my own jizz.
Your mama's a bitch.
Oh,
so Leonardo's an excellent example of this thing. Like, a lot of people point at Leonardo as a time traveler. I haven't found anything that I would say from the past is an absolute smoking gun to time travel. Leonardo is one of those motherfuckers that makes my eyebrows rise a little too high. That's very curious.
Yeah, like, and I mean, going further back into Arthurian legend, they said similar things about Merlin too. Although there's no proof that guy ever actually existed. Probably because of the time travel stories are true, then he's merely a young boy now living backwards through it. It's a whole thing. The Arthurian legend gets very strange.
Some of the deep legends,
but yeah, Da Vinci. I don't think
Crystal Cavern and what's her fuck
right.
What is her name?
That was Arthur's half sister. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Morgana Le Fay. Yeah.
No. The chick that was in the Crystal Cavern with him, that was living forward while he was living backwards. The whole reason he made the Crystal Cavern in the first place.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no. Morgana was his enemy.
3/4 Fae or some shit. But she's distantly related to Morgana, and that's the only reason she can do this shit where she's at, because she is a part of that royal line.
Like I said, shit gets weird. But as far as Da Vinci is concerned, right? Like what I was getting at was, I don't think that he was necessarily a time traveler, but I do think that his mind and his genius were somewhat untethered in time.
True. I get what you're saying. I always say this when people are showing like ancient structures and ancient inventions and stuff. I go, Do not underestimate the power of genius. Until you have personally witnessed genius in action, you don't understand the level of like the force of nature that it is. Genius isn't an expert. Genius isn't like an expert code cracker. He's not. This individual is not an expert fisherman. He's not an expert at anything in particular. He just thinks things through to such a full conclusion that he appears to be educated on absolutely everything after considering it. The level of intelligence applied to a problem in this situation is a normal person just doesn't understand what they're seeing until after the effects are seen.
Sure, but I look at this like you've met engineers, right? You know how disconnected engineers can be from regular anything, and it's just because their minds are focused on something else.
Creates a problem. You engineer something to solve that problem that creates a problem. So you engineer.
Sure. You have a higher proportion of people that would be labeled geniuses in that profession than in a lot of other professions. I think they just kind of come wired the way that they are. But I guess what I'm getting at is that when you talk about genius as a force, I tend to agree with you, because I tend to think that people who have displayed leaps of genius throughout history, it's not that person is necessarily special. They may be in whatever way or whatever, but I think in those moments where the genius happens, where the inspiration takes them over, it's a literal takeover. They were possessed by an outside thing.
And it was an idea.
And I don't mean demons, but I mean like ideas as living things that must be birthed.
There's another step here, though. No one considers the effects that witnessing a genius in action has on normal people. People who have encountered active genius think different from people who have not. First of all, geniuses think different. They just approach problems from a totally unique perspective, and normal people just can't understand where they're coming from. But people who have seen it happen, they don't necessarily get a grip on how it's done, but they do witness the fact that it is possible. And sometimes they go on to have these almost miraculous leaps of logic and conclusion, right? The best example I can come up with, there's two, and I think they were both essentially done from the same source, but I don't know what that source was. Miss Marple and her lieutenant that comes by and asks advice every now and then, and then I think his name was Lestrade, and then Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson being a normal individual, Sherlock Holmes being a patent genius. Because of witnessing how Sherlock Holmes functioned, Watson was able to apply the same types of concepts and achieve a similar sort of outcome. Now, does that make Watson a genius? No. It just means that he observed a series of productive actions and repeated them successfully.
You become who you hang out with.
Yeah, and I don't even think it was so much that he was just parroting the actions either. And I know that's not where you're getting at. It's that it changed the way his brain worked to be in proximity with a brain that did not work as other people's. And Watson wasn't a stupid man to begin with. That's one of the problems that I have with a lot of those like Basil Rathbone movies, is Watson's always portrayed as like a bumbling idiot. He's not at all. He's the witness.
But yeah, he is. All right. So Watson was credited with various things during, quote unquote, the Boer War, or depending on what time period they said it in. It's in the wars, right? He did super secret stuff. There's no record of the things that he did. He's an obvious hero. Every single military man that you meet in any military anywhere throughout the Sherlock Holmes stories immediately salutes him when they see him. The second they realize who he is, they stop talking to Holmes and turn and look at him and go, "Oh, sir, I didn't realize that was you. My apologies." And he's like, no, talk to Holmes. He's the one here trying to solve the case. Like I'm not just go back to as you were, sir.
Yeah, if I recall from the stories, he was he is an actual medic. He was an actual doctor, and he was doing like battlefield triage and medicine and that sort of thing. But where he was doing it was the important bit. Was in the original stories, I believe he was participating in the battles in the Hindu Kush during the British incursions there.
And there's a few hints in there that he was part of that that elusive, some would say, imaginary camel brigade.
Yeah.
And these guys had some stories, bro. Like, if there were war crimes perpetrated by the British in this time period, this is probably where it took place, was with these guys.
Mm-hmm. Right, but they never outright say it because, like a lot of veterans, Watson doesn't talk about it.
Doesn't mention it at all. And anytime anything to do with his military service is brought up, he looks at Holmes and goes, we don't have to talk about that. Let's get back to the diamond, bro. Somebody stole your diamond. Who got it?
Right. That's also why he also always carries around his service pistol.
Yes, and his cane, but that's a little bit of a different.
Well, the cane is because he got shot and he didn't heal right.
Well, it's a twofold thing. So I did a whole psychology series on this bit, and whether or not he's actually permanently injured is sort of secondary to the fact that his injury left him feeling vulnerable. Sure. And he is an expert in cane fighting. And so having the cane makes him feel better.
Yeah, they covered that in the version of Sherlock that Martin Freeman played him in, kind of the modern updated whatever, all that. They talked a lot about, like, are you actually limping, or do you just think you should?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the series, when you read the books, it's never actually clarified. Although Holmes mentions on several occasions, and sometimes it's done from the perspective of the housekeeper, of witnessing him walking out the door without his cane and coming back 15 minutes later to come get it because he forgot it. And he'll walk out with no limp and come back with a limp.
Mm-hmm. He was acting. So was he? So he wasn't as normal as people thought.
Well, he was severely traumatized, dude. You're talking, dude. The things those people did. I mean, a little PTSD goes a long way when it comes to psychosomaticis. You know.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The only reason I brought that up, I brought all of that up to the point to say that Watson was not a normal man. He was a highly intelligent intellect. He was brilliant, right? He was not a genius, however.
No, but he was observant.
He was highly observant, which might have been why he was sent to Holmes in the first place, because he just noticed too much. And Holmes is exactly that. And so him and Holmes working together, and largely, like you said, he was a witness. All he really did was write down the shenanigans of what Holmes got up to. That was more or less his purpose, but he also operated as an intellectual springboard off of which Holmes could, like, spit watch to hit at the wall.
And there's an added component to that often gets overlooked too, is that Holmes is a functioning sociopath. He's a high functioning sociopath.
Wait, yes. What?
Yeah. Holmes is absolutely a high functioning sociopath. He has zero empathy whatsoever. He does this to occupy his mind and for no other reason than that. And Watson provides kind of a moral compass for him.
Certainly a homeostatic one, if not moral. You know.
So why does Moriarty? I've never, now to my shame, I've never read any Sherlock Holmes.
No, Moriarty's the same way that Holmes is. He's not a psychopath either. He's a high functioning sociopath. He just finds it more profitable and enjoyable to do crime consulting than hold on.
Back up. And I get you can have sociopathic. Well, they're not psychopathic in the classic sense, but
no, there's no break from reality.
This motherfucker's got a body count up there next to Mussolini, bro. Like Moriarty.
But he's also the head of an incredibly secret and widespread network of criminal consultants. So, like, if somebody wanted something done, they had to.
Think about it, bro. Holmes is your average garage mechanic inventing shit in his garage. He's Apple in the early 80s, late 70s, right? Whereas Moriarty is Howard Hughes, right? He's the government front man for several different governments, pretending that they're trying to work together while they're all actually stabbing each other in the back. And Moriarty is the vessel by which the money exchanges hands for the backstabbing. He is the criminal organization. He's
So
the
he's
organization.
Sort of.
No, it's worse than that, dude.
It's crucial to what he does that nobody knows that he exists. Holmes is the reason he gets found out. That's why the conflict
He's the
between them
Illuminati.
starts. That and the fact that Moriarty was fascinated to find a mind like his in Holmes.
Well, all right. So I don't remember which freaking book it's in. It's not a Moriarty book. Moriarty is never mentioned in the book, and yet he comes across a writing that he becomes convinced was written by the person that he is looking for. And it's an observation of orbital mechanics in a Newtonian system. It's a very dry, very bland. It's a book nobody in their right mind would ever freaking read. And yet he stumbles across it somewhere, notices some sort of a relationship between what's in the book and what's happening in Europe at the same time, and comes to the conclusion that, wait a second, Europe's not acting like Europe. It's acting like there's an emperor pulling all the strings.
Was that called The Great Game? Or
I think so.
To that effect. Another one you talked about. This is before him and Moriarty ever cross paths. This is when he starts noticing what's going on.
He notices that the weapons that are made in Zimbabwe are showing up in freaking Glendale. He notices that bombs that are built in Minsk are showing up in freaking places that they shouldn't show up. And the only way that would be possible is if there was somebody between the Allies and the Axis that were doing some sort of thing schwangling.
Yeah.
One of the things that gave it away, and this is like one of those hard and fast details. Bullets that were being made in one country for a caliber that they did not produce domestically, and guns being created in another country for a caliber that they did not produce bullets for, and then being shipped to the same location, somehow bridged the gap on what type of individual it could be. It had to be a diplomat. It had to be this level of government understanding. It had to be people that had been to both places.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. A Game of Shadows was the movie version. I don't think that was the actual title of the book. There were only 4 novels. There were like a dozen short stories. There were only 4 novels.
Right. And this is the first time he utters the words, "The game is afoot."
Yeah. Fuck, I can't remember the title. I'd highly recommend going to read them, folks, though, because they are fascinating and they do serve as a bit of a primer on the whole deductive method.
If you're gonna do this, just start with a study in Scarlet. It's
the first one, first of all.
It is, but there's a reason I say this. If you read the other ones and you go back to a study in Scarlet, it'll feel like reading like a first draft.
Right.
And then so just read the study in Scarlet first, and you'll see where the ideas of everything kind of come together roughly. Yeah. And then the later book much more polished.
Well, and a study in Scarlet also has like 3 stories within one story. It's a very convoluted plot, and half of it takes place in America with characters that have nothing to do with Sherlock.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, it's the methods that really matter. It's the fact that everyone thinks he's crazy when really he's just thinking on another level.
Right. But definitely don't start with the Reichenbach Fall or the Falls or the His Last Bow.
Reichenbach, didn't Holmes die in that one?
Kind of.
That is a fuzzy point there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite interpretations of that was Holmes did die and Watson came back pretending to be Holmes in order to finish the case. And that was one of the best versions of that story I ever read. I can't remember who wrote it. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah. Old Blindy's got sort of the titles here for the novels. Study in Scarlet, Sign of the Four, Hound of the Baskervilles, and I forget Valley something. I don't remember the name of that off the top of my head, but Hound of the Baskervilles is pretty fun. It's there's so many different versions of that too. If you like watch, cinematic adaptations of that are, some of them are almost werewolf movies, and some of them are just like weird science shit.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Well, Hound of the Baskervilles is a very well put together ghost story.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't know you were reading a Sherlock Holmes story, it would come straight across as a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah. So, but back to the kind of the original point, if Sherlock had decided to take a different path, he very easily could have become Moriarty or something very much like him. Like they're extraordinarily similar. They have similar ethics, and it's really just more what specifically fascinates them and they need to occupy their minds that kind of drove them on their respective paths. But neither one of them is crazy. Neither one of them has psychotic break. You could almost say that unlike a psychopath, which is broken away from reality, they are almost too into reality.
And then there's Mycroft. And
Mycroft is a different caliber of dickhead.
Well, he is your crystallized and distilled government bureaucrat. That's the thing.
Yes.
What's intriguing to me about Mycroft is how far people have run with a character that gets 37 lines in the series.
Right. Yeah. He's not like when they talk about him in the books, they don't talk about him very long. They do kind of play up that, like his brother, he is very sharp, very observant, and very kind of amoral. But beyond that, they also talk about how he's very, very fat, and that's pretty much the extent of his involvement in the books. But they always pay so much attention to him in the various adaptations.
Movies, any type of adaptation. But there's reasons for it though, and I didn't notice it until like my second reading through, when I actually, you read, when first time you read, it's like a happy lark to a field. It's like, oh, look, it's Sherlock Holmes solving stuff. That's dumb. That's dumb. That's dumb. That's dumb. That's dumb. But then the second time you read through, you realize that all of those points that don't quite make sense, there's reasons it doesn't make sense. Once you realize that Moriarty exists, it's a perfectly logical expectation for Sherlock to misguess something, because he's guessing what normal people would do, and he's dealing with another genius. And then when you include Mycroft later, the little things that seem to be completely impossible, like there is no way there's not going to be a guard on that door.
Yeah.
And yet there's not a guard on that door. And the reason there's not a guard on that door, and you draw this, from context, is because Mycroft called up somebody and was like, hey, I need these 3 guys over here. As a byproduct, there were no guards for that door that night. Little shit like that. Like Mycroft has his fingers in every single pie. He's just not manipulating the way Moriarty is. Mycroft knows Moriarty, but doesn't know that Moriarty is the guy doing the shit Holmes is hallucinating about.
Right. And Mycroft holds an unnamed and undisclosed and possibly unlisted position in the Home Office, just below the Home Secretary. But in reality, the Home Secretary more or less dances to his strings.
It's because, and a lot of people don't get this part. The reason Mycroft is depicted as being so overwhelmingly powerful is because he is what would later become MI6. Mm-hmm. He is the singular person for the British government for that.
And
position.
At the time these were written, the British Empire was still in full swing. Mm-hmm. So he would have literally been one of the most powerful men in the world were he
not a frozen Powerade. I need more. I'll be back.
Yep. All right. The other thing I was going to ask when Sasquatch gets back, I'll have to repeat this. Have any of you guys watched that show Elementary with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't, but I heard it was really good. I should go back and look at it.
I was skeptical about it myself because like Lucy is playing Joan Watson. Right. So they, race and gender swapped John Watson. But honestly, they did a good job. It's a pretty good show. The characters are pretty well written. I recommend it. There's only a couple of things in it that bother me. And, for people who haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil too much. But the stuff with Irene Adler, I'm just going to say the names. The stuff with Irene Adler and Moriarty was convoluted and retarded, in my opinion. And again, can't spoil it, but essentially the climax of the series doesn't make sense in context with the character development thus far. But otherwise, I really enjoyed the show, and I do recommend it. And I'm trying to be careful here because I know there are people who haven't watched it who may want to.
How many seasons is it?
7, I think.
I don't think I ever finished it.
I'm gonna go back and start watching it.
I watched it for the first time last year, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm actually kind of sort of half-assed rewatching it now. It's a great thing to go to sleep to once you've been through it once. But and they do, it's obviously it's updated to modern day. They really play up the Sherlock as an addict angle. That's kind of how him and Joan meet. Is she's what they call a living companion for recovering addicts, and he's a quote unquote recovering drug addict, which they do. That's not out of left field in the comic books, or not the comic books, in the original novels and stories. If he is bored and he has nothing to occupy his mind with, he starts doing drugs. So like, it didn't come out of left field.
Solution, so
yeah, right. Now that you're back, Sasquatch, did you ever watch Elementary?
Yeah. Well, no, not Elementary. I watched part of it and kind of got frustrated with it. What was the one with Cumberbatch?
Well, that was just called Sherlock.
Yeah, okay.
That was the BBC one. But the reason I bring up Elementary is because there are a couple things that bother me too. I'm trying to be careful about spoilers because Larry hasn't seen it and he's interested. But just without giving anything away, how did you feel about the? Oh no, wait! You just said you hadn't been through it. You should go watch it. It's pretty good.
One thing I liked about the Sherlock show was the way they did Moriarty. That guy was
in the BBC one. Yeah,
I did watch Sherlock. Sherlock, I watched.
The bit where he shows up and he's all of a sudden not Gay Jim anymore, and he's just like, and they're just like, people will die, and he's like, that's what people do, and he just screams at him. And it's like at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. This guy's awesome. They did a pretty good job. Moriarty was probably the best part of the BBC show. Him and I really liked their portrayal of John Watson, not so much as Wyatt.
No, that was good. I really liked Watson in that one. But then again, I like that dude as an actor. I even liked him in the Black Panther series. So,
Yeah, when he was one of the Tolkien white guys.
Yeah, he was the token white guy.
Tolkien, because the other guy played fucking Gollum. He played Bilbo, and the other guy played Gollum.
Hold on. This is my favorite part of the Black Panther series. The entire Wakanda nation was saved by a white savior.
Yeah, that's true. That happened. Mm-hmm. And then they got invaded
by sacrificed himself for Wakanda.
Then they got invaded by a bunch of for some reason Latino sea people who were trying to cross the border through the river.
Why the fuck were they Aztecs, bro? Why? Oh my god. I laughed so hard I cried when we got to that point. I paused my wife got so mad at me. I paused the movie to giggle maniacally looking at them.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing. Like, I didn't watch all of that shit because it was just retarded, and I knew it was retarded, but I do chuckle with the fact that he goes around saying his name is Namor, right? When anybody with any modicum of like comics history under their belt knows it's Namor, and it's backwards for Roman. Because Atlantean society was very similar to the Romans.
I didn't watch the second one because I had a feeling it was going to be stupid.
Well,
essentially
from adults. So
essentially, the technologically advanced isolationist ethno state gets invaded by a bunch of illegals through a river.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Namor people.
Yeah, a bunch of brown illegals crossing the river with literal water on their literal backs.
Yeah,
it's not subtle at all.
see, I get a lot of flack. I think we've come to loggerheads. It wasn't you, it was somebody else. About the fact that Black Panther is one of the greatest superhero movies made this century.
Okay,
I don't know about that.
See, that's what I get from everybody. But let me explain. If you go back and read the Black Panther comics, it is an inversion of the tropes of every comic hero other than Batman in history. He's not out there defending the weak. He's out there defending thugs. He's not out there saving nations and saving, you know, the beautiful damsel in distress. He's just stopping them from blowing up the ghetto. Right? It's so weird, bro. And then when they go in when they go into the movies, though, the rest of the Marvel series follows the tropes just like they're supposed to. But when you drop off into Black Panther, it's like looking at a Marvel darkly. It's everything is inverted, upside down, inside out, and backwards, bro.
Yeah. It's that first movie, man, was so jacked up. We don't want to invite the world in. They don't even need to know about our existence. I was like, all right, I get all of that. But then, you know, what was his name? Killmonger comes in, takes over, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna give guns and hyper advanced weaponry to all the brothers, and they're gonna start ethnically cleansing everybody who ain't us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so a super advanced isolationist ethno state gets a new ruler who decides he wants to expand, but first he's got to make room for more of his people by getting rid of everybody else. Who does that sound like?
This is a classic communist revolution, bro. Like, this is exactly how it happens. Everybody face the wall so I can bring my friends in.
You know, and like no shade on some of the people in that movie. They did a fine job with what they had. The whole train fight thing was a CGI mess that made my eyes bleed. But
fantastic job. It's a great movie.
I don't know if I would go so far as to call it a great movie, but I did really enjoy some of the performances in it. And
this is what drives me crazy, bro. This is one of the greatest examples of trope inversion in movie history, and nobody fucking noticed.
I
can explain it to him, show it to him. If we went through and did an EFAP on this movie, you would laugh your ass off every 10 seconds because it's all intended as a joke. It's all meant to be overwoke. It was literally the steam valve that blew off the entire Marvel women's unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the red flag that was like, oh shit, we got a problem. They were willing and able to produce that massive piece of trash, and no one involved with it cared. They all just let it happen.
Yeah.
Bombastic piece of overwoke bullshit that when you realize what they had actually do, it horseshoes around from being horrible back to good again.
I'm telling you that, like, speaking of horseshoe theory, that movie is an excellent example of horseshoe theory in action. Like, just the plot.
The whole tried to pull the whole anti-racist thing so freaking hard that it's just racist.
They got super racist. Yeah, it was really fun in that regard. But I don't know, man. You know what's always funny to me regarding that movie?
Why you pull out? You pulled out as soon as the chick with the shoes show up.
Right. The funniest part of it, the whole Black Panther phenomena, like when that came out, you remember how big that was? Everybody was screaming Black Panther and Wakanda forever all across the fucking country and shit. You know, and they're still doing it. They're still using that for fucking political points in goddamn Washington. It's retarded. It's crazy. It is the funniest thing ever, because I guarantee that most of them have missed the entire. You know that Black Panther was created by a couple of Jews in Brooklyn in the 70s, right?
That's why I'm wondering why you're sitting here arguing with me about whether or not it's a great film. You would look at it. It's obvious.
It's not a great film. It's a shit film.
No, it's not. The first one isn't. The first one isn't.
Yeah, the first one's okay. I would probably call it mid-tier for that era.
Yeah.
It's certainly way better than anything that came after Endgame. I'll give you that. Yeah, by leaps and bounds. But you know, just in certain aspects of it, I didn't really buy Killmonger's motivation at all. You know, for example, and where he went from my daddy abandoned me because of you, and now I want to kill every white person in the world. How does that fucking make sense? Or the sheer amount of CGI in the final fight scene between Killmonger and Black Panther is painful to watch.
It really is. I wanted to have a seizure just to stop watching it.
Right, and I thought I was done with that shit, and then I went and watched Venom: Let There Be Carnage, and it got worse.
Anyway, I said what I said. I have combos.
don't really have a problem with the character of Black Panther or Wakanda or any of that stuff. In fact, he's been a part of the Avengers for decades. At one point, he married Storm of the X-Men, and she became Queen of Wakanda for a while.
Yeah,
You
and I
know,
had a
like
problem with that.
I mean, I kind of didn't. She was with the X-Men, man. They were trying for an ethno state with Genosha too. So it's like fine, whatever.
She should have hooked up with Captain America.
Yeah, that was going to happen.
Wait, they let him talk now? Wait, did she just vote?
Right? It's like he wouldn't have a problem with the fact that she was black. He'd have a problem with the fact that she was a woman.
Imagine the time he backhanded her ass and took a fucking lightning bolt to the face. Shut up, woman. Where's my turkey pot pie? All right. How about chicken pot pie tonight, honey?
Yeah. I don't know, man. He
is one of the X-Men that could give him some kind of what for, though. The rest of them have to reduce themselves to like physical, of course not counting Jean Grey and Professor X. I mean, but like Beast, Captain America would straight stomp a mud hole across Beast's ass, but it would not be easy.
Which is why Beast wouldn't get that close to it if he didn't have to.
Yeah,
He's a very smart guy.
Blow him the fuck up.
he would Odysseus the shit out of that.
That's what he'd do. And take what's that other dude's name? Fuck.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler would literally teleport his ass to like an ocean somewhere. He'd be like blip, 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 and drop him. Blip, 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 and be back.
Yeah.
That is Captain America's biggest weakness, is not having any type of like exterior effect to his superpower. Just being tough as hell and honorable. That's plenty.
He's very strong too. Like he's superhuman. It's just enhanced things that humans innately already have.
He is by definition superhuman, not suprahuman, you know.
Right. Whereas the X-Men are mutants, and mutants are, according to the comic books, technically a separate species from Homo sapiens. He's not. He's altered Homo sapiens, but he is still Homo sapiens.
Mm-hmm. I feel like maybe you've played the Marvel game, the old tabletop RPG.
No, I played.
Your language was very on point for that. You did it exactly right. A Red Skull, freaking. What's his name? Captain America, and that other dude,
Steve Rogers,
Barty, the Winter Soldier,
Bucky, Barney,
altered humans, and altered humans have a defining limit to their power, and that is registering as human plus, right? Whereas mutants, sky's the limit, bro. They're not human,
right? They're an evolutionary branch. They're as different from us as we were from the Neanderthal or the.
Hey, I remember in the '90s cartoon, Professor X said that Magneto had dubbed them going from Homo sapien to Homo superior.
Yes, that was actually from the comic books earlier on, because the '90s cartoon, the actual '90s cartoon, all of that stuff was taken straight out of the comics. A lot of it was very one for one. They kind of watered down some of the tragedy because it was on Saturday mornings for kids, but otherwise, the thing about Homo sapiens superior versus Homo sapiens sapiens, it was directly out of the comics.
And in every case, Homo sapiens sapiens wins that due to sheer numbers and the fact that a handful of mutants, typically smart mutants, like the super intelligent ones, are the ones that side on human side. And so we win on almost every universe in existence, with a couple of exceptions.
It's a very
complicated universe. The mutants win. In any universe that what's that other dude? Armageddon is Apocalypse. That's it. In any where he's referenced, right? He doesn't actually have to invade Earth. Earth has to know about Apocalypse existing, and if they know he exists, mutant.
No, you're thinking of Doomsday from DC, man. Apocalypse is a mutant. He's from Earth.
Yeah, Apocalypse is a mutant.
Super advanced.
What I'm saying
5,000 years old.
The future, right? The future is affected by the knowledge that that mutant exists. The humans see that level of power is extant, and they just kind of go, "Well, shit, what can we do to help?"
Yeah, no, there was actually a storyline in the 90s, one of the best X-Men storylines in my opinion, called Age of Apocalypse, which takes place in a near alternate future where Apocalypse actually takes over everything. Which is super fun. They had to change the name of one of his, because he's always got like 4 super powerful mutants that he endows with even more strength to basically go forth and do his bidding, and he calls them his 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
In the Age of Apocalypse, there were different horsemen, right? And I don't remember all their names, but one in particular, they later changed the name of, and they glossed it over with some in-story kind of bullshit to sort of make it seem like it wasn't what it was. But they changed it because they didn't want to offend anybody, because it wasn't the fucking 90s anymore. His name was Holocaust originally.
Right? That's what he did.
He burned shit down.
I think I know who you're talking about. Let me see.
Bro, a slow fucking walk. Every single organic molecule in a certain range of him would simply dissociate into inorganics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. I think he was actually Apocalypse's biological son too, if I remember right.
Oh, no, but he was an absolute fucking unit.
He was, but he was also kind of an immature, petty bitch, and that was what made him dangerous.
Yeah. Well,
okay,
he was the Ube of Marvel,
right?
Okay, so check this out. So no, his name was changed to Holocaust. His original name was Nemesis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you're reading that at, because if I recall right, it was the other way around.
Marvel
because he doesn't
Comics
debut until the Age of Apocalypse. He's not actually in the main universe until later. He's one of, I think, 4 characters that carried over from Age of Apocalypse into the 616, but only later on. And then he changes his name to Nemesis later. But originally, when he was introduced, he was called Holocaust.
Yeah, I'm reading it right off the internet. So
I think I have that issue somewhere.
Doesn't mean it's correct. I'm just letting you know where I got it.
The internet never lies.
Except for all the time.
Sometimes.
Except for all the time, right?
But there was him. There was McCoy, or the Dark Beast. Who, that whole storyline was super fucked up. There was X-Man, who's sort of a super powered Cable offspring of Jean and Scott. And there was this dude called the Sugar Man who had like 6 arms and this very round body and this really disturbingly wide mouth. And those 4 characters survived the Age of Apocalypse and made it to the 616 universe, but everything else from the Age of Apocalypse has been erased. If I remember right.
So one of my most, and it's not for the reasons most people love Wolverine. Most people like Wolverine because he's such a badass. He's so unkillable. He's so savage. He's so no. He's so Canadian. It's hilarious. I mean, that's the one part of the Wolverine saga that has been just completely lost in the movies, is how Canadian Wolverine.
Dude, he was on a team called Alpha Flight with a guy named Puck. Puck. Dude's name is Puck. Guess what he does? He bounces off shit, and he's real little.
Oh yeah, he's real tiny,
like a hockey puck. He was wasn't he a Canadian hero?
Yeah,
like he came from
Alpha Flight was a Canadian team.
Hey, Sam, in the cartoon, in the 90s cartoon, wasn't it Puck that said, "You said we were getting Wolverine so he could join up with us again"?
Yep. Yeah, that was when they encountered Alpha Flight. Yeah, it was because he had previously been with Alpha Flight.
He was with them, yeah.
Yeah. Before the Weapon X program. Well, fun fact, time is back to Steve Rogers. You know how Wolverine is Weapon X? That's actually the
Steve Rogers at
10.
Weapon 1.
Steve Rogers is Weapon 1.
Yep.
And there are, more in between there that sometimes they pop up, sometimes they don't. But
well, they went through different time, like it was all part of the same program that was supposed to be dismantled. But yeah, there was that and a bunch of different characters that end up being part of that.
And everybody who was in the Weapon X program ended up with a kind of a lesser healing factor, except for fucking Deadpool of all people. But all of them were that ability was grafted into their DNA, but it was taken from Wolverine. Wolverine's healing factor is responsible for like Maverick. It's responsible for Deadpool. It's responsible for Sabretooth. All of whom have healing factors that are not quite on level of Wolverine, except Deadpool's, who it's just somehow super accelerated, which is weird.
Well,
because it has to spend almost all of its time fighting off the fucking legacy virus, which is why he's all scarred up.
So that whole healing factor of Wolverine kind of thing. Wolverine's a bit of an exception and all that. There's a couple of questions that go with, because have you ever come across Madcap?
Yes.
All right. I'm pretty sure that's a DC character, but he's got some really similar kind of things. He's got that uber super fast healing process. Madcap doesn't feel pain, and damage doesn't affect him the way damage is supposed to affect people. But the question has always been, if you chop up Deadpool into 30 pieces, do you get 30 Deadpools?
No.
Sort of like
Well, no, this was all settled in that whole what was it, the Reign of the Mystics series or what the fuck ever, with like that bitch that everybody thinks is Madam Web or whatever.
Yeah.
Is the reason why he doesn't reproduce like trolls.
Yeah, well, I keep going back to Army of Darkness, actually, with all the little ashes. But anyway, but yeah, there are other characters also within Marvel and within the X-Men universe who have a natural healing factor too. All I'm referring to is the guys who were involved directly in the Weapon X program all got theirs from Wolverine through.
Not all of them had the healing factor though. That's the thing, is they were just they were weapons for the government. Like the second one is a squirrel. Is literally a squirrel that they like is weaponed up. Luke Cage, I think, was what, 5?
Luke Cage was one of the weapons, but he wasn't in the military. He was in prison when they.
No, it was a military program. That's all it was. It was always a program that was attached to it, and went through different phases.
I'm just going to say he wasn't a soldier. He was doing time, and they're like, hey, if you do this for us, we'll let you out early.
Yeah. Each time my brain's fried.
Iteration.
Each time there was an iteration of it, they were trying a different thing to create the perfect weapon, essentially. So it like I said, it went from Steve Rogers, but then they said he's a soldier. Let's try an animal. We can make an animal into the perfect soldier. And that's when you got all these, there was a bunch of animals. No, he wasn't part of it. He was
Rocket's an alien.
No, but there was I think a whale, and there was a bunch of different animals. They've essentially tried to erase them from history because they were so odd. But one of them was a squirrel, and he was weapon 2. And then the Skinless Man was one, but he was psychotic. Like he had a break with
Wouldn't
reality,
you
I
be?
think.
Wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
With no skin on.
Like I said, yeah.
Where does Plastic Man fit in all this?
Plastic Man's DC, first of all, not Marvel.
I just read that shit straight until I was an adult.
Secondly, according to Batman, he may be the most powerful entity in the universe.
Oh, he absolutely is, dude. He absolutely is.
Well, he is where it counts. I mean, shoot.
Well, it's because he's not just
man will be legendary.
Well, he's not just stretchy like the elongated man or like Mr. Fantastic. He can literally physically become anything he can imagine, and he's indestructible. Oh, that's totally indestructible.
One of my favorites, and this, I don't know where this came from. This was literally I only read half this comic. It was all that was available. I was at somebody's bathroom somewhere, and I came across half of a Plastic Man comic. I don't know if Plastic Man was the main character. It was just like the middle section of the comic, and I've always wondered about this. In it, I can't remember the female superhero, but they're doing some kind of negotiations, and they decide they can't deal with any of the other DC superheroes, but they'll talk to this chick. And so she agrees to go in and talk to these guys, knowing that it's going to be a trap. And the very last scene before she goes to negotiate is Plastic Man leaning his head around the freaking like some fucking Stretch Armstrong bullshit into the room from like another room in the ship they were on. And he's like, "Hey guys, I got an idea." And the very next scene is her screaming, "Absolutely not. There's no fucking way. I'm not going to do it. No. And he says, "Come on, babe. As we've been closer." The next scene is her doing the negotiation, and somebody pulls the trigger on her. Blam! She gets shot, and the fucking bullet just kind of bounces off, and you see Plastic
close
across her tits. And he goes, "You shouldn't have done that, boys."
Yeah.
That's all I got. I don't know what happens after that. I've always fucking wondered.
It's Plastic Man is an interesting character because he starts out as a petty fucking street crook who does bank robberies. you know, and then later on he kind of reforms, but he's also genuinely insane, not like in a Deadpool way, but like in an actual crazy person way.
The criminal insanity sort of way. He doesn't reform at all. They just cover his shit up, dude. He just realizes. See, when he was doing the petty crime, he didn't know he was indestructible. He just knew he could do like this stuff, and he was broke.
Yeah,
he's broke. He wanted money. He wanted that Rolex. He wanted that car.
Did you ever read? You probably didn't. Did you ever read the Injustice comics?
Bits and pieces. Like I said, most of this was bathroom reading, and it was curated by a guy who was deep into comics.
So towards the beginning, because there's like 5 or 6 years worth of these comics, that it goes on for a while and gets pretty deep in the weeds on some stuff. But towards the beginning, when Batman and Superman go their separate ways, Superman builds up his regime, Batman builds up his resistance and all that stuff, and they're trying to get the various other superpowered beings on their sides, respectively, right? Well, there was one who was locked away, and I can't remember who it was, but they said Batman sent fucking Plastic Man in to get him. And so Plastic Man's on camera, Cyborg's watching him, you know, through all of the security stuff because he's sided with Superman. And he's sitting there and he's like, oh no, a locked door. How shall I ever get through? And he sticks his middle finger in, turns it and unlocks it, pulls it out, aims it at the camera, and it's like a key, but it's his middle finger. And he's like, oh, I found the key. He's just like flipping him off.
Out.
Yeah.
There's another one. There's another one, and I don't remember which comic this is in. I just remember seeing this fucking panel. Everybody's in this. I think it's an airplane, a blimp, something like that. It's gonna fall. We're all gonna die. Everybody's fucked. Somebody throws a grenade. Like all of the different superheroes are like going to react and do something, and before they could get to it, Plastic Man picks it up, tosses it in his mouth, turns and looks at Batman and goes, I think I got this, and then just goes back to doing whatever he was doing. He inflates, deflates. Batman gets knocked out. All the bad guys get knocked out because he occupied every available space in the room with the explosion.
Right. It's like you know in D&D why you don't send a fireball into like a 10 by 10 by 10 room.
Compounding damage.
Yeah. So he had that in his belly.
But he basically used it to punch everybody in the room.
Right. Right.
He shuts like half the Justice League or whatever. He like shuts the door on him right after the grenade hits the ground.
Yeah.
He's like pink.
He's a very imaginative character too, so he can already do a lot of things. Now think about if he had like the imagination of some of the lanterns.
Yeah. Well, see, it's a little different though. They create anything that they can imagine.
Yeah, he becomes it.
Becomes anything. Yeah, no. Can you imagine him as a mech suit for somebody like Tony Stark?
I think he might have done that.
Oh, yeah. God, I wish.
He's done a lot of crazy shit. The other thing that popped into my head,
the suit, putting on a suit.
Right. Slightly off topic. He has turned himself into a chair in like a woman's chambers before.
Yeah, but he did that. Yeah, exactly. The woman's changing.
Yeah. No, dude's an incorrigible pervert. In the Injustice series, there's also a later issue much further down the line after shit gets like has gone way too far and the comic series should have ended, where somebody thought it was a good idea to give Lobo a Green Lantern ring.
What?
And this is where it gets fun. The first thing he does with it is create a gigantic dildo and beat the shit out of Atrocitus with it. Like just smacking him around with a giant dildo in space.
Well, Lobo, I've never really liked Lobo as a comic character, largely because he's like what happens if you take I don't know, Frank Castle, the guy with the flaming skull, what's his freaking name? Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze, yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Thank you. Ghost Rider, you get Frank Castle, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and Deadpool, and you mix them all together.
And give him Superman's power levels.
Give him Superman's powers, yeah.
Yeah. That's where he got. And so he kind of I just don't like him. And then he's an asshole because he can't.
I agree to a certain extent. I really do, especially after they retconned this whole origin and made him all serious and not fun anymore. Because there was a comic book back in the 80s where he took a contract from the Easter Bunny to go kill Santa Claus. He used to have fun comics, but there was
sounds like an ambush bug episode.
Yeah, and like the reason he's the last Zarnian is because
he killed his whole people.
He did kill it. He kills his whole people in both versions of his origin, but in the fun one, it was as a science project in high school.
Yeah.
Like just on a whim, murdered his entire race.
That makes things different.
In the retcon, it's because he couldn't have them coming after him because the only thing that can kill a Zarnian is another Zarnian. And they were just like, they went this whole stupid route with it. But prior to that, no, it was just because he was like, hey, I bet I can do this thing for my science project in high school and get a blue ribbon, and ends up murdering his entire people. So he awards himself the blue ribbon because nobody else is there to do it for him because they're all dead.
And everyone lived happily ever after.
Except for all the people he killed, yeah.
The living write the history. Not those.
Speaking of living happily ever after, we are at an hour and 50 minutes. I'm sure the Devil's gotta get going. All right. So let's take the minute to go around the panel. To Devil, since you gotta go, you might as well go first.
Check me out over at the Beelzebub, the pub here in a little bit, and yeah, thanks for having me.
The Devil can't even say it. Oh, he's giving me
shit. I do. Shut up. Told you my brain's fried.
Right. Sasquatch.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Caucasian Sasquatch. You can find me tomorrow at the Blast Radius with Captain Curmudgeon, where we're going to go over any little thing that strikes his fancy. And
is that tomorrow?
What?
Is that tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow? No, today's Friday.
Saturday.
Today's Saturday now.
I mean, yeah, today's tomorrow. Well, for me, it's Saturday.
Yeah, but I thought that Blast Radius was on Sundays.
So CTV tonight. Tonight, because you fuckers had me up past midnight and I turned into a pumpkin an hour ago. Blast Radius tomorrow. Supposedly the Naughty Corner Thursday. Most of these start between 6 to 8 p.m. Go check your local listings. You can find them on my channel usually. Whenever they get around to posting them, Sam.
Yeah.
Anyway, come see them. Subscribe to everybody on the channel. Send me some money because I just like more money, quite frankly. And I might send Sam some money if y'all send me some money. And he can send it to Gala. We can get all that figured out.
Dude.
Was that good? Did I do good?
Yeah, no, that was fine.
Yeah, that's good.
I did good.
Yeah, I'll be on. What?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'll be on Brandon the Anime Guy's channel here in, I don't know, 9 hours or so. And yeah, other than that, I'm working on a video about cargo cults. It's going to be good, I hope. We'll see.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. Me, you can catch me here next week. Same time. Well, actually, I think I might be out of town again next week. I don't know for sure. I'll know on Sunday. But you guys can also catch me on Rose Gallery on Saturday if it goes on. I know Iron got a new job, so everything's kind of jumbled up. But other than that, that's it.
All right. Brings us around to me. Real quick, I do want to clarify that when I said Lobo, made a giant dildo, I mean like the size of a freight train engine. It was really, really big. Anyway, the next thing up for me,
terrifying,
right? And he hit a guy whose whole shtick is that his power is engendered by rage. With it's anyway. Long story short, we're gonna get past that. I will not be on the pub tonight because I have preparations to make for tomorrow and some other stuff that I gotta do. Yeah, not that kind of preparations, although that might not be a bad idea. Tomorrow, though, is episode number 200 of Screaming Into the Void, 4 p.m. Mountain Time, right here on Samuel the Infamous and probably Caucasian Sasquatch's channel as well.
Yes.
We are going to be EFAPing. What the Internet Did to Garfield by Super Eye Patch Wolf. The link will for both his channel and the video will be in the description because I want to give this dude full credit because it's an awesome fucking video. It's going to be fun. We got some guests coming. We'll have both the Melees, Melee James and Melee K, which is hilarious and surprising because K's held a grudge against me for making her watch that video like 2 years ago. Ever since.
Well,
so,
I'll probably be on. I didn't realize tomorrow's our 200th, so that's important.
Yep. So we will be doing that. It's going to be fun. It's probably going to be a long one. Yeah, looking forward to it. If and when Amira goes live tomorrow night, I will be there to help out with that as well. We're also probably later tomorrow night, after everything else is said and done, going to be getting back into AI Limit, the game we just started yesterday. We finished Demon Souls finally. Yeah, it should be a good time. Well, other than that, back here next week for more Abyssal Musings. So thanks for coming all. Appreciate it. This has been a fun discussion. I've actually had a great time tonight, despite the fact that I was not prepared to go live when we did. So
sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I just you know how it is when you have like a series of long days and you finally sit down, you don't have to fucking get up tomorrow and you just like, oh, I just want to sink in this chair and go to sleep. Yeah. But it's fine. It is what it is. Otherwise, yeah, thanks chat for being here. Appreciate it. Remember that Give Send Go link, pass that around like digital herpes, if you will. We've only got $300 more to go before the goal is met at 6K. Appreciate it. Larry, thanks for doing everything you do to put this fucking show together every week. And
thank you.
Rest of y'all, thanks for showing up, especially Sasquatch on short notice because I know he's very sleepy. He's very sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great night, everybody.
The best 4 hours I've slept in the past week. You're good, bro.
Fair enough. Fair enough. In that case, fuck you, and we're out. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. I'm going to sleep.